Hello everybody, my name is Dave.
And I'm John.
And today we're going to be answering some questions from an earlier movie that we did called Magix Movie Edit Pro 2013 Tutorial for the Beginner, All Steps to Make a Movie. And at the end of that movie, I asked all my viewers to go ahead and send in their questions or comment, and we would try to answer them later, and that's what we're going to do. But that's not all we're going to do. We're also going to show you how to make a complete movie. And we have a sample of what that's going to look like when we're done. And you can view that right up here.
On the Gen Creasoner.
Okay, this is a short tutorial movie where we have multiple video effects layered at the beginning. And then after that, we have a side-by-side video on the screen where John is throwing the frisbee. I am on the left and he is on the right. The videos are synchronized. And then for the next section we have an interlude where it says to be continued right now. Then it goes into some speed effects and reverse video effects. John is throwing the frisbee in slow motion. And then after that it reverses in fast motion back to him. Then we go to the credits and a little rolling screen background. Then the blooper of John throwing the frisbee, and then the end title. Okay, now that you've watched that movie, let's get to the first question.
How do I add music, pictures, or video to my project?
So the first question is about bringing media, such as video, pictures, and music, into Magix Movie Edit Pro 2013 Plus. Now the first thing we need to do is get the arranger into the right mode. Now this is the arranger down here at the bottom. Now there's basically 4 modes you can be in. There's the storyboard mode, which is this one. That's a storyboard. And then you have the scene overview mode, timeline mode, and multicam mode. We want to be in the timeline mode, which is this icon. So I'm just going to click that. Okay, so there's 2 ways we can bring in the media. One is using Windows Explorer, and the other is using the Magix Import tab here and dragging files from the media pool. Okay, so we're going to start out by dragging a file from our projects file folder here from Windows Explorer. So let's bring in a picture. I'm going to start by bringing in this PNG file of a maze that John created. It's just a picture of a maze. So I'm going to bring it in here, and I'm going to go down here and zoom out a little bit so I can see more of the empty space in the arranger. Alright, now I'm going to bring in another picture, and it's a picture of a frisbee. It's a JPEG this time instead of a PNG. You can bring several different formats in, including Adobe Photoshop. Alright, now we're going to bring in some video. So the first thing I'm going to bring in is a video clip that John captured with his camera. We'll bring that in and place it right here in the arranger on the timeline. And it asks me if I want to adjust it. Now what it's saying is, do I want to adjust this video monitor up here to match the resolution of the movie? My movie resolution is 1080p and my monitor resolution is 720p, so I'm going to say yes, I do want to adjust the monitor. So now it's 1080p in the monitor. Alright, now I'm going to bring in a second video clip, and this is one I took with my camera, and it's of the same material that John's video was. It's just a different angle of the same video, the same action. So I'm going to bring that in. And now let's bring in some more video. I'm going to bring in another video from John and put it beside the others. And then another angle of that same video from my camera. Alright. Now the last thing I'm going to bring in is some audio, and it's called Happy Binary MP3. It's an audio file that John made. I'm just going to go ahead and bring it in and place it down here. It's an MP3, but you could bring in other formats like a WAV. Alright, now I put that on the timeline. Okay, now all of these objects have handles on them. So, for example, you can adjust the volume of the audio right here with this handle. And you can adjust the gain on a video object with this handle here, which is also called opacity, I guess. So that's that handle, and there's one on this object too. Now you can't see the object at the top. This picture of the maze isn't showing right now because the frisbee is covering it up. But now we could, let's mute the frisbee. There we go. Now when we mute the frisbee, the maze comes through underneath. And now you can see the maze. And another way to do that is I could have soloed the maze with the S button here. And solo the maze and I can see just it. Okay. Now there's other handles on these too, and we will get them in later. We can change, for example, the length of time that the picture is on the movie. You can adjust the length of time right there. And the video, you can also sort of crop that by moving the end, grabbing the handle there. And the audio is also adjustable in the video too. This lower handle adjusts the audio, and like I said, the upper handle adjusts the gain. Okay, so we're off to a good start. Let's do the next question.
Is there any way to rotate a video during editing? Because I just realized I recorded mine upside down.
Oh. Now you might have noticed that when I soloed this upper track, that this video here was upside down. So that brings up the next question. Is there a way to rotate or flip a video? And the answer is yes. You go into Effects, and then from there you go to Movement Effects, and then Rotation and Mirror. And from here you can rotate the movie basically any direction. In this case, we just want to flip it over, so it's right side up. I think that becomes more apparent when you're in this, when you can see me there. There I am. I was upside down, and now I'm right side up. And you can always just type in the number here, like if you want to flip 180, just put 180. There you go. And we can bring this one back to 0. Put a 0 there. There we go. Now everything's set up. Now the other way you can do it is right down here. They've got some predefined buttons you can just flip things with. See, there it is upside down. And then you can flip it back. So let's try that with this next one. We'll go over to this movie. There I am upside down again, and I can just hit the flip button. And I'm right side up. So that makes it pretty easy. Are you looking for your audio waveform?
How can I see the audio waveform on my video tracks?
You might have brought in a video clip, and there is no audio waveform shown in the video clip. Old Magix versions actually did show the audio waveform by default when you dragged in the video, but this version does not. So what you can do is right-click on the selected object. In other words, you have to have it selected first. Let me go back and show you that. This is being selected. Now that's selected. This should be yellow. Now right-click on it, go up to Audio Waveform Display, and then click Create Waveform. And when you do that, you'll see the waveform appear right here. And let's just do that for all our movie objects. Audio waveform display, create waveform, and you can see it going across the bottom here when I do that, rendering it or whatever. And now we'll do it again for this one. And for the last one. Now, as I said, you can adjust the volumes on these. If I start playing the movie, let's say play it right here. I'm going to mute.
Here it comes.
You can hear John.
Oh, wait. My bad. Bad throw. Oops. Oh. Go ahead.
So I use the handles right here to adjust the volume. Now, there's another way you can do it, and that's if you go over here and click on this icon for the mixer. It'll bring the mixer up, and you can adjust the levels. Now, these are the tracks here. This is track 1, track 2, 3, and so forth. These last two over here are the master volume, which controls the volume for all the tracks. So I'll just leave them on 0. So now if we play the video, you can see the levels right here.
Oh, wait. My bad.
We can control them. And if we unmute this audio track, we can control that too.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, here it comes. Oh, my bad. I got a bad throw today.
So that's it. Now, thanks to all our viewers' questions, we've learned that there's more than one way to skin a cat.
How do I zoom in and out of the timeline?
Okay, so the next question is how to zoom in and out of the arranger. And what you do is select an object and then put the pointer where you want to zoom in. Like, say I want to zoom in right here on this sound section. Well, there's 3 ways you can do the zoom. One is these buttons down here. You can click the minus and it zooms out, and the plus zooms in. The other way is you can come down on the keyboard and hold the control key and use the arrows to zoom in and zoom out. Up and down arrows. And the way is you can pull down this little arrow at the bottom here and pick a predefined zoom. Like if you want to zoom into 5 frames, you could just click that and it'll zoom into 5 frames. You can even zoom into a single frame by just coming down and doing zoom 1 frame. So those are basically the 3 ways. Well, our movie is really starting to come along. So let's get to the next question.
Is there a way to synchronize videos or video angles?
The next question is how to synchronize 2 videos so that they run together simultaneously. Now, this is best done with audio tracks. If you don't have audio tracks, well, you're just going to have to basically guess how the video looks and try to synchronize them that way by sliding them back and forth. But it's much easier to slide them into place if you have audio, and it's the same audio, of course. So if I play the audio for these 2 tracks, you can hear my bad and then my bad, so you can tell that one track is behind the other. So let's just zoom back to the timeline, or zoom out to the timeline, and that's this button down here. Just click that, and now we've zoomed to the timeline, and we can see we're working with these 2 clips right here. And the audio on the bottom one is behind the audio on the top one. So what we need to do is zoom in, and we can do that with our plus key down here, our plus button, and find the audio section that we want to synchronize. And right here where John says my bad, we want to synchronize that with a lower track where he says my bad. And I'm using that because it's a distinct section. You can really hear the delay there. So now I'm going to use this slider to move the section we want into the center. Okay, now we can see my bad on the top one and my bad on the lower one. Now we can also zoom vertically over here if we use the plus key over here on the right. And that zooms in vertically so we can see the waveforms better. Okay, now what we do, let's just place our cursor here. And I'm going to move the lower track so that this audio lines up with the upper track. Now when we listen to them, we can listen for echo. If there's echo, then they're still a little bit off. Okay, you can hear a little bit of echo right there. So it looks like this one needs to slide this way a little more. Let's try it now. There, now it sounds like they're synchronized. Now once we get the videos synchronized, we can select both of them, hold down the control key and click each one so they're both selected. Now they're unselected. I'm going to hold down the control key, select the first one and select the second one. Now that they're both selected, we want to lock them together with this chain symbol up here. That locks the two sections together so they won't slide. They'll slide together now instead of separately. Okay, let's zoom back out to the timeline with this button. And there we have it, two synchronized videos. Well, we've been doing a lot of work on our video. Now we need to do a little house cleaning.
How do I cut or remove sections of my videos?
This question is going to be about deleting multiple sections, trimming and deleting, and from the previous question we synchronized two videos and locked them together. Now we need to trim off the ends where the two videos are overlapping. So let's trim off the beginning first. We'll put the cursor right here, and then we'll zoom in using the plus key. And if you want to zoom to one frame, like I said, you can pull this down and go one frame, and then you'll really get the most definition you can get. And then we're just going to trim off this lower one. So highlight that lower one. Always highlight whichever one you're going to trim. Come up here to the razor blade tool and trim it. Then we can just highlight it again and use the delete key on the keyboard, or you can right click and delete it from this menu by doing delete objects like that. So there's also a third way you can delete an object. Now there's some buttons up here. There's undo, which is right there, and then there's redo, so you got those two, and this third one is delete. So if there's an object you want to delete, you can just click the object and then hit the X. Okay, let me zoom out a little bit. I'm going to do the minus key. Alright, let's place the cursor right here at the end of the two video segments. And then I'm going to zoom into one frame again. Just do that right here. There we go. Make sure the cursor is lined up on the end of this last one. That's as close as we're going to get. Alright, now we want to trim this one, the top one, so we're going to highlight that and then click the razor blade tool. There we go. Now I'm going to highlight it again, and this time I'm just going to press the delete key on the keyboard. Alright, let's zoom back out. And there we have it. That one's nicely trimmed. Now to delete a section out of the middle, what you can do is place the marker where you want to begin the delete. Highlight the section you want to delete. Click the razor blade. Now that's the begin of the section we want to delete. Now move the cursor to the end of the section you want to delete. click the razor blade again, highlight the section that now is ready for deletion, and then just press delete on the keyboard. And that's how you can remove a section from the middle of a movie. Then you can just drag the end section up to match the first section for a continuous video. Well, our viewers have given us some really interesting questions, like this one.
How do I place multiple videos on the screen at the same time?
Okay, for this question, we're going to talk about putting multiple videos on the screen at the same time. And one is called picture-in-picture, and the other is called side-by-side, or you can have more than two if you want to. Alright, so previously I had locked these two videos together. That was to trim them after synchronization. So what I'm going to do is unlock them now. And now they should slide separately. Alright, so let's start with this lower video here, which is John throwing the frisbee. And we're going to do a picture-in-picture. So let's go up and go to Effects. And then we can go to Movement Effects and Section. Alright, now let's pick a section. We want just the section around John. So I could type in a width here, but I'm just going to go to percent here, and then I can put in 50%. But before we do that, let's take off Keep Proportions. I don't want to keep the 16:9. I want to be able to be free to do whatever I want, so I'll go to Free Proportions. Alright, now we'll type in 50% for the width. And when I click on another box, it'll affect it. There we go. Now that's what we want, but we want it, I think, 25% left. Let's see what happens. Yeah, there we go. Now it's set right in the middle. Now, if we play that, you'll see we have a picture-in-picture now. Of course, a lot of times picture-in-picture is only small, you know, or only a smaller section, so you could do this. Just grab it what you want. Then go to Size and Position and size it down. Put it maybe down in the corner, and then when you play it, you have a picture-in-picture that looks more normal. Okay, but we don't want to do picture-in-picture for our video. We're going to do side-by-side. So let's undo those changes. We can just go to Size and Position and click this to undo the changes there, and then go to Section and undo the changes there. And now we're back to normal. Okay, let's redo this for side-by-side. We'll again change this under Section to Free Proportions. Go to Percent, put 50%. So pretty much repeating what I did before. Then go 25% left. And now I've got the section I want in the middle, and it's half the size of the screen. Now I'll go to Size and Position. Go to Percent again. And we want to move that over to 50%. And now it's on the right. But it's still basically picture-in-picture. We want to now change the other one to be on the other side of the screen. So let's go to the top one now. I'll highlight that one. And let's go ahead and mute the lower one so I can see just the one on the top. Alright, so now we're going to basically do the same thing to it. Let's go to Section. And we're going to go ahead and go to Percent. Now you notice it's upside down. I don't know why. When you're in Section, it doesn't always show you the way it's been changed. So we go to Section again. And we're on percent, and we want it to be 50% of the width. And it's already over there on the left, so I don't think we need to change anything on that. It's going to be 0, 0 as far as the upper corner goes here. So that looks good. Now let's go to size and position, and we're just going to go ahead and move that over. Now we can move one just by dragging it too. If I just want to move it over here and drag it over, if we don't feel like typing all that stuff in, we can just do that. And the position really should be 0, 0, so if it doesn't come out quite right, just type that in. Now it's 0, 0, and everything else looks okay. Now let's unmute the other one. Now you can see they're both on the screen at the same time, and then when we play it, we got a side-by-side video.
Here it comes. Oh, wait. My bad.
So that's all there is to it. Well, sometimes you want to add a little flourish to your video. And the next question is, how do I change the speed of my video?
Or go backwards?
So this question is about changing the speed of the video, like slow motion or fast motion, or also reversing the video, or a combination of those. So the first thing I'm going to do is pick a video section I want to work on, and I'm going to do this one right here. So let's delete this one that's above it. We won't even use that one. Just pressing delete on the keyboard after I selected it. We'll move this one up to the top and we'll work on it there. Alright, let's zoom in a little bit with the plus button down here. And sliding over so we can see it pretty good. Maybe I zoomed in too much, so I'll just minus a little bit. Alright. Now let's just play a little bit of it. Okay, so we want to start it out where he says 3, 2, 1, here it comes. And that's this audio section right here. So I'm just going to trim off the first part. Alright, so we'll trim it right there. And then this end part where he says, he says I got a bad throw today, and then I say stopping. I'm just going to cut the part out where I say stopping. Just get rid of that. So that leaves us with two sections. Where he said he had a bad throw, I think I'll just use that as a blooper and work with this first section. When the frisbee gets right about there. Actually, I'll do it right after his voice, so I don't trim any of the audio. Okay, so I'm going to cut it right there. Select it, cut it. Alright, so let's take this and I'm going to go ahead and copy that because I probably also want to do a reverse section. So I'm going to go in here and say copy objects. And I'll put the pointer up here, and then I'll just paste objects. So now I got two copies of this one. Let's move that out of the way. In fact, if this is going to be a slow-mo, it's probably going to take up extra space. So let's move these out of here quite a ways to give us extra space. Okay, now we'll do a slow-mo on this thing. Let's come up to Effects. And then we'll come down to Video Effects, Speed, and let's slow it down to 0.25, which is the slowest amount. Now you see when I did that, how that expanded out. It stretched the video way out. So now if we play it, see how slow that's going? And the sound is also slow. I'll bring the audio up a little bit so you can hear it. I can just take this and drag it up. Okay, so you could hear that. Alright, now for the next section, let's do a little reverse. That's this section right here. Let's do a little reverse on that one, but we'll also speed it up. So to do reverse, it's very simple. All you got to do is check the reverse checkbox, and that reverses it. And then to make it faster, let's make it 3 times faster. We'll go up to the 3 right here. You can also just type in 3. There you go. Now when we play that, see how quick that was? Or maybe that's a little too fast. We can just take it down to 2. Now we could also bring back a little of that we cut out by just stretching the end here with these handles. Okay, that's pretty good right there. So now we've got a section that's normal speed. Then we got a slow motion section. And then a reverse section. And then we can just put the blooper at the end, right here. So after it returns, and that's the whole thing. Have you ever noticed when you're playing back a movie in Magix Movie Edit Pro that all you can do is stop it?
But what if I want to pause it and carry on where I left off?
And also, some people have complained that their movie jerks or skips or lags on playback within the editor. So the next question was about stopping the cursor at the current position, or the marker if you want to call that. So when you're playing a video, let's just zoom in here a little bit and move it over. Okay, now when you're playing a video, you'll notice that the marker will move along, and then when you hit stop, it snaps back to the beginning. Well, it would be nice if you could just pause it at the current position. Now, I was looking around for a feature to do that, and I couldn't find one. There was no pause button up here on the transport. And another thing is, I noticed that my jog wheel was missing. And if that happens to you, just stretch out the window, and it'll appear down here. So there's the jog wheel and the shuttle dial here. But still, neither one of those will stop the marker at the current position when you're playing. Thanks to a guy from the Netherlands named Rainey, he posted an answer to that, and it was simply to use the K key. Now there's a group of keys down on the keyboard, J, K, and L, and you can use those to pause the marker at the current position, start playback again, or reverse playback. So I'll give you a little demo of that. Say we're moving along and we want to stop the video right there, right when John starts talking. Now maybe we want to continue forward a little bit, stop it again. And say we want to go backwards, just press the J key. Press K to stop it. So you can basically move forward, backward, stop it, all with these keys. Okay, now another question was, why does my video skip or lag during playback? And really, I don't have a good answer for that. I think the ultimate solution is a really fast computer and a good graphics card. but I can't give you the exact specs for that. I can tell you that I'm using a dual core, and it's a pretty good computer, but it's still not fast enough, and it lags a lot, especially if I have multiple videos, one on each track overlaid. It will lag, and it's just a matter of bogging down the processor. A good video card would help, and I don't know which one would be the best. Somebody might call Magix and ask them to see if they have a recommended video card, and that might help. All right, this next question came out of thin air.
How can I add background from Magix design elements?
Question is how to add backgrounds from the Magix effects. So say we want to put an interlude right here after the first video section. And we'll start by putting in a background, and later we'll put some text over it. Okay, so we'll come into Effects and go down to Design Elements, and then Backgrounds. Okay, I'm going to bring down Warm Light. Place it right under here because it's long right now and won't fit. And I'm just going to say Ignore on this question about Apply. Alright, now let's grab the edge of it and we'll shrink it down till it fits right in that little notch there. Then we'll bring it up, and when we play it, you can see it was sort of a little movie there. Alright, and we could always make it a little longer. We could move this section over. You notice how I selected the multiple objects there? If I don't, I'll only be moving one. But if I put this little marquee, just holding down the left mouse button and dragging, I can select all three, and then I can just move them out of the way. And then I can make this a little longer if I want. Just like that. And then I can move the other things back. So I get that adjusted the way I want it. See if the length is about right. Looks good. And I can just move these back. Okay, let's add another one over here. And this background, I'm going to use Film Strip. Let's see if I can find Film Strip. Right here. Drag that down. Again, I'm going to put it below because it won't fit in that little space. So I'll just put it here. Again, say Ignore. Doesn't matter which end I grab it from when I make it smaller. Just either end is fine. Okay. Just guessing there. And we'll squish it a little more so it fits and put it right up in there. So Film Strip will look like this. Okay, so that's how we add backgrounds. There's one thing we're missing.
How can I add an opening closing title to my video? Can I fade in and out the opening titles and also text overlays?
Okay, the next question is, can we add beginning and ending titles, or maybe in the middle, and also can we make them fade? And I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's go down here to the end. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, put the marker right here. Let's say we want to add a title right there that says The End and make it fade out. Well, all I got to do is go to Title, General, and we'll just leave the title as white. And I'm going to make the size about, well, let's make a size around 40 for now. Just make it around 40, don't matter. Okay, I'm going to select these two buttons just to get a little effect. And then all we got to do is just click anywhere in the monitor window, like that. And then I'm going to change this to The End, like that. Then if I hit the check mark, I can move it around where I want it. Put it right there. Now you'll notice the title is down here right now. And that's okay. I can move it up top here with the rest of the video. And then when I play it, it just says the end. If I take these effects off, I can get it like this, like that. I can make it italic. Let's make it italic. Okay. Now to make it fade, let me zoom in here with the plus key. To make it fade, there's some handles right here on the ends, here and over here. So to fade in, all I got to do is do that, and make it fade out, I do that. Now when we play it, you'll see it fades in, stays on the screen a while, and then fades out. If you want a longer fade, just drag the handle like this. And you could do this between scenes. If you wanted a title between scenes that describes the scene or something, this would be a good place to do it, right there. Let's make it even more exaggerated fades. There we go. The end. And then fades out. So that's all we got to do there. And by the way, you can actually select different fonts. Like if you don't like just plain Arial, there's all kinds of fonts down in here. All kinds of strange fonts. How about that one? You got so just whatever you want. You pick it. You make the decision. And then you can change the size. If you want it bigger, say make it 72. Let's play that and see what happens. Looks pretty good to me. Okay, so that's one title. Now let's say we wanted a title at the beginning. Now I'm going to shrink this vertically. Another way you can see the tracks, by the way, is you can hit this little button up here and you can see the track window or the arranger full screen. However, you can't see the monitor in this mode, so that may be a drawback, but when you're arranging tracks, you might want to do it this way. So I'm going to pull the audio down and pull this out of the way, this picture of the Frisbee, and we'll put a title right up in here. So now I'm going to minimize that again, back the way it was. Put my pointer over here. Okay, let's add a title in there. This time I think I'm going to go with a ping pong title. Okay, so I go down to combination right here and select ping pong. And if you just want to see what it looks like, you can double click it and it'll show you what ping pong looks like. That's just a sample. Then if we want to use it, we just drag it down and put it in the arranger. And let's see, I'm going to go with about 5 seconds. 5 seconds is right there. I'm looking up here in the corner right now. I can just move this till I see 5 seconds up in this corner window here. And then drag this till it meets that marker at 5 seconds. Okay, so that's 5 seconds. Now we'll double click this and we can edit the title up here. Now what I'd like to do is we'll use the Leto font and we'll go with a size 52. And let's turn these on. Turn that one off, turn these on. And then the color we want is a dark green. Let's see, I want to go with maybe this one. And click OK. And then we'll hit the check box. And now let's go to the beginning and play it and see what it looks like. I'm going to mute the frisbee out of there. And there's the title. Okay, that looks good. Now, let's double click it again and we'll go ahead and change it to what we want for the text. Frisbee golf. Alright, check that. Now let's see if that fits the screen. Yeah. It's a little big though. So we can shrink it down just a little bit. Let's take this down to, say, right about that size, around 40 or so. All right, let's try that. Yeah, that'll be good. So check it, say it's okay. Okay. Now let's add another title right after that. Basically the same one, same settings. I'll just click here, bring in another title. And we'll just have it say the same thing as the first one. Alright. In the middle. Now when we play it, we'll have one ping pong going on here. And then when it gets to the second one, it'll freeze on the screen. I want the border on at least. Yeah, now I think it'll match pretty good. Make it look like the first one. There we go. Okay, and now let's go ahead and do a fade of one text into the other. We'll fade the ping pong into the standard text. So now it'll look like this. Alright. Alright, now we'll just make that the same length there. And let's zoom back out to full screen. There we go. And we can bring the rest of our movie back against that. And there we got it. Now, say we wanted to put another title right here over the top of this interlude right here. Let's go to general title again. We'll use the same font, which was Lado, and this time we'll go with white. So it's just a whatever you want to choose. I'm going to put white in there for now and still leave the outline on. Okay, we can just click over here and we'll put to be continued ... right there. And let's italics. There we go. And we'll check that. And then we'll move it over here. See how it looks like. That's better right there with both of those on. Okay, to be continued. Move it over here just a little. It's about as far as I can get it. And let's bring down the length of that so it's only like half of our interlude. So now we got to be continued, and then it disappears. But let's put another title right after it. Okay, I'm going to move that right up into here. And let's see, I'm just going to go ahead and copy it. Copy objects. And then I'll paste it in again right over in this area right after it. Alright. Now let's double click it. And then we'll put right now. And check that. Okay, so now it should be like this. It'll come along. Let me start over here in the movie. Okay, it'll come along, play the movie, say to be continued, then right now. And we might want that to be a little bit longer, so let's move this over. Stretch this out. Move that over, and then stretch this out. Alright, now let's try it. There we go. So we got to be continued right now. Okay, and for our final piece here, let's put in some closing credits. Okay, so I go to Title, Standard, and then we're looking for Final Credits right here. First, bring Final Credits down, put it right there. Double click that, and then we can put credits in here, such as, I'll just put just some more boring credits. Thanks for watching. If you want a little space between the thanks for watching and the credits, you can just do this. Alright, now it'll look like this. And then you notice I had a little blooper at the end and then the end. Alright, the next question is a small one, but it's huge.
Can I layer effects in Magix?
Another question is, how can we layer video effects? Because we sometimes want to have several video effects going on at the same time. So we can do it. And for an example, we have a frisbee, picture of a frisbee down here. And say we want to have that run across the screen. We already have the ping pong title fly-in going along, and we also have the maze here. So let's do this. Let's have a zoom in on the maze at the same time the title is flying in, and we'll have a frisbee fly across the screen all at the same time. I'll just move this frisbee out of the way and we'll work on the maze right here. Okay, so here's the maze. First thing we're going to do is go to Effects and then Movement Effects, and then we'll go to Camera Zoom. Now we're going to start with the maze zoomed out all the way, so I'm going to place a keyframe there at the beginning of the movie, and then we're going to come along, go to the end of the movie, and I'm going to back up one frame by pressing the left arrow on my keyboard. Okay, and right there we're going to use the camera zoom to zoom in on a section of the maze. Let's say we zoom in. Keep in mind this title won't be there. I mean, I can mute that just to get that out of the way so it doesn't distract you. Okay, so we'll zoom in close to the section of the maze right there, and then we'll set another keyframe. So now if you look on this line right here, we have a keyframe at the beginning with the maze zoomed out, and then the keyframe at the end with the maze zoomed in. So if we go back to the beginning of the movie and we play it, you'll see the maze zoom in closer and closer until it gets right to the end. Okay, now let's turn the titles back on. Now at the same time it's zooming in, we also have our ping pong title. Okay, now let's have a frisbee fly in at the same time. Okay, I'll get the frisbee and move that in. I'm going to have it about in the middle of the movie, right about there. Now I'll just go ahead and mute that title again so I don't see it. And put the pointer here so I can see the frisbee. We need to brighten this up a little bit, so I'm going to go up to Video Fix and Brightness Contrast and add a little gamma just to make the frisbee a little brighter, like that. That looks pretty good. Now let's go to the chroma key, and this already has a green background, and the reason for that is we want to just see the frisbee and nothing else. So we can use the chroma key if we got a green background or a blue or you know, a watercolor. But green is a good one, like green screening. So we'll select green on the chroma key, and you can already see it's faded out pretty good there. And then we can adjust the range and the threshold and get it where we just see the frisbee. That looks pretty good there. And down on the threshold a little. That looks pretty good. Okay, now we got it. Now the size is a little big. So let's go back to size and position. And we're just going to shrink it down. Maybe I will make it a little smaller. Let's make it like that. Alright, now let's move it off the screen here. And then we'll set a keyframe. Got a keyframe there. Then we'll go to the end here. Move back with my cursor one position. And bring it off the screen again, up in this area. And set another keyframe. Okay. Now when we play it, let's see if that frisbee flies in. There it goes. So it went right across the screen. Now let's turn the title back on. And now we got the title and the frisbee flying across. And you'll see my computer kind of slowed down trying to do all that. And then we go into the video. So there we have 3 different effects going on at the same time. Okay, let's narrate about narration with the next question.
How can I use a microphone for adding my voice to a video?
Alright, the next question is how can I use a microphone for adding my voice to a video? And this is fairly simple to do. Just plug a mic into your computer mic port, then click this red button under the monitor window, choose Audio, and then make sure this path is going in the direction you want to go, into the folder you want to put your audio file. You can pick CD quality audio. Make sure this checkbox is on so you can view the movie while you're narrating it. And that's about it. What you can do now is hit the record button, just do a test to see if it's working at all. Okay, we can just do a little test, and then we can say, you want to keep it? And I'll just say no, delete it. Okay, now let's return to the beginning of the movie. We'll rewind, and we'll start narrating it. I'm going to hit the record button. Okay, this is a short tutorial movie where we have multiple video effects layered at the beginning, and then after that we have a side-by-side video on the screen where John is throwing the frisbee. I am on the left and he is on the right, and the videos are synchronized. And then for the next section we have an interlude where it says to be continued right now. Then it goes into some speed effects and reverse video effects. John is throwing the frisbee in slow motion. And then after that, it reverses in fast motion back to him. Then we go to the credits. And a little rolling screen background. Then the blooper of John throwing the frisbee. And then the end title. Okay, let's just go ahead and keep that take. And you can see it puts it in the arranger down here, and then we can just close the window and we're done. Okay, now that the video is completed, we want to export the video. So to do that, we're going to go up here to File and then Export Movie, and I'm going to export my movie as MPEG-4 because that usually works well for YouTube. And I'm going to export it as a 1280 by 720. That's 720p, and I got 29.97 frames per second, and a 16 by 9 ratio, aspect ratio, which is what my movie is. Now I'm just checking the path to see where it's going, and I'll just put in here sample movie, and then I've got export selected range only, but I do have the whole range selected. You can tell by the range markers here. Here's one range marker at the beginning and one at the end. If you want to export just a section of the movie, you can set these range markers in different places and export that section. Okay, so let's go ahead and export it. Clicking OK. And now down here at the bottom you can see it making the video. Well, thank you for watching, and thank you for sending in your questions. Obviously this movie got really long because there were so many people wanting advice. So we'll probably do another movie later.
So keep sending us your questions.